My bedtime was 7 p.m. and you better eat. And my mom would say, catch your bed.
So what age group we talking about?
We're talking like 7 to 10, 11 around there.
Okay, yeah, I'd be at home. I wouldn't be gallivanting, or dilly-dallying, as they say.
Listen to me, on a Sunday evening, if you go to fill gas or you go to get your car washed or supermarket or, buy bread like we like to do on Sunday evenings, you would see so many children outside. And I'm like, again, back in my day, we had so much homework to do.
Yeah, and if the streetlights were on, you're home.
Exactly.
Once the streetlights on, you are home. You are not outside after the streetlights come on.
So, times have really changed, and I'm so happy for these kids that get to enjoy life a little bit extra. Because really, time is really different from when we grew up.
It's really different. Even school days. I grew up in the time of corporal punishment in school, right? And, the children today will never know and never understand.
Yeah, it was definitely a rough time. Like, where they say Peter paid for Paul
and Paul paid for everybody,
Paul
was apparently rich because...
I was very quiet, sitting there, minding my own business, studying, and then, the principal comes and says one person did something wrong, so the entire class has to put out your hand.
Yeah, I remember there was one teacher in particular, after we came in from lunch break, he would go down the aisle with his guava whip in his hand, and he'd pass it along your back to see if your shirt sticks to your skin because you're sweaty.
Goodness.
Because we weren't allowed to be sweaty and gross in class afterward.
I would love to say the good old days, but I don't miss those days whatsoever.
Some things is not bring back the old time days. For some things you can leave it in the old time days.
Exactly. I remember we had a teacher with a whip, and we named the whip, and he just loved this whip. And we had to, fair it, but also give it a name and treat it with respect. It was quite interesting.
In my class and in my time, there was a teacher that really took pride in their whip, and we took pride in hiding it, breaking it, throwing it away, and then in a day's time we'd come back with a brand new whip with new masking tape on it.
Well, just a note, the whips never go away. They are magical whips. For some reason, they just, keep coming back. Also, Carrie, today is World Streaming Day. So to everyone streaming us live on YouTube and Facebook, a special good morning to you. Thank you. We see your comments every single day, and we're sending you so much love, and we really appreciate you being here every day with us.
So much love. Yeah, for all the support.
Yeah, we really are thankful for that. Well, coming up inside the show today, another packed one. We give you an update on the search for missing baby Angelo, as well as we are speaking with the Children's Authority. And I have a very important update from Childline as well. So that's something we're going to get to.
All right, looking forward to it. And of course, I'll be locked on.
All right, Carrie, talk soon.
All right, we will. Thank you so much, Virmala.
You're welcome.
When we come back, the Trinidad and Tobago Today morning show gets going after this break.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going like,
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel and I never regretted it.
Your heart, brain, and body work hard every day. Give them the support they deserve with omega-3. Packed with essential fatty acids, omega-3 helps support heart health, brain function, and overall wellness. Whether you're staying active, focused, or simply living life to the fullest, live healthier with omega-3. Wellness that works from within. Tune in to Wellness Unlocked on TTT Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:45 a.m.
I'm Jamila Bannister, host of the Socially Safe podcast, the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
Your world moves fast, so do we. TTT News brings you the people, events, and issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay ahead. TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Wednesday, 20th May 2026. The time now, it is 6:11 a.m. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Virmala Balkaran and welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today. Let's take a look now at what's trending this morning. A multi-agency investigation into the disappearance of 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza in Tobago has intensified, with a 7th suspect now detained, bringing the total to 7 arrests. And search operations have expanded to the Pig Farm Road area after earlier sweeps at Mount St. George Dump and Dam Road yielded no findings. Cybercrime officers are also analyzing seized devices as investigators pursue new leads. And police are saying the case remains active and highly sensitive, with multiple agencies involved in ongoing search efforts. And in other news now, 2 national footballers are allegedly in police custody following a drug raid in Kunapia on Tuesday. The operation took place at a residence along Boykato Road off Madras Road. Details on the quantity and type of drugs allegedly found have not yet been confirmed, and police are saying investigations are ongoing. And in some brighter football news this morning, after 22 long years, Arsenal are Premier League champions once again. Mikel Arteta's side have officially sealed the 2025-2026 title with a game to spare, ending a 2-decade wait for glory. The Gunners held firm after a 1-0 win over Burnley before Manchester City's 1-1 draw with Bournemouth confirmed the outcome. It's Arsenal's 14th English top-flight title and a long-awaited return to the summit of English football. And are there any Arsenal fans out there this morning? How are you feeling? Well, coming up inside the show today, we talk about 11 years of the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as mental health and why I matter and you do too. You'll find out exactly what that all means in a short bit. But for now, you know what to do. Grab your cup of coffee and settle in. Trinidad and Tobago Today has begun.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
Whatever the skies bring, stay prepared with TTT weather. Committed, accurate, relevant.
There are a number of risk factors for heart disease, so a lot of attention has to be put towards preventive cardiology. What can we do to reduce the burden due to all these risk factors? Hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, need to stop cigarette smoking, you gotta get people exercising.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Well, once again, we're at summer's doorstep. The action is picking up with a variety of events that'll thrive alongside all of the popular attractions. Hello everyone, I'm Aidan St. Agathe and welcome to Caribbean Passport TV.
All eyes will be on Antigua this summer for the 2026 Carnival celebrations, to which everyone is invited to feel the rhythm. With over 2 months of pre-events to warm things up, Antigua and Barbuda is event and activity driven. So if eco-adventure and marine life are among your passions, then Scooter Snorkeling is the tour company for you.
I'm Renee Sion with another edition of Caribbean Week in Review.
Well, this morning we are focusing on a very important national issue: child protection and the collective responsibility we all share in creating safer environments for children. The Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago is marking 11 years since the legislation was passed for the organization to provide care, protection and rehabilitation to children and families. Yet, despite continued efforts, the authority says thousands of cases of abuse are still being reported every year, with neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and emotional abuse among the leading concerns. Well, joining us to discuss why child protection is everybody's business is Krista Ali, psychologist, Regional Case Management Unit of the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Krista, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always a great conversation when you are on set with us about, children's rights and everything that they've been going through. So I want to start with this. The Children's Authority recently marked 11 years since the legislation has passed. So looking back now, what progress has been made in child protection over the years?
Yeah, so I have been there for that entire 11 years, and I can definitely tell you that there has been a lot of progress. I think, what I want to focus on this morning is how the public relates to us and the type of information and type of education that has been, out there. And I definitely think one of the ways that we can mark that progress is how informed is the public? How do the public relate to us in terms of information that we receive from them? And I can definitely see that I think the topic of child abuse is becoming one that is more common, and the education about what is child abuse, what are the forms, what are the types, how do I make a report? I think those are the things as well that we see the public is much more sensitive towards. It's not so much more of a taboo conversation anymore. It's coming into public spaces. We're doing more things like this. We're receiving more engagement, and I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, public awareness is definitely increasing, and that's always a good thing. Now, the authority continues to receive between, I believe, believe it's 4,200 and 5,400 reports of abuse annually. That's a lot. But we're still glad for the reports coming in. Now, what do these numbers really tell us about the reality of children and what they are facing in Trinidad and Tobago?
So that statistics, it shows us a lot of different things. Now, when you first look at it, it's alarming. It definitely is. And every time we talk about these statistics, that's the first thing. It really sort of exemplifies we're not treating our children the way that we should. And I think that child abuse continues to be a national crisis. And, you know, we're not doing what it takes to keep our children safe. And that's the first thing that when we look at the statistics, that's the first thing you get right off the bat, that these numbers are alarming. But, you know, I want to also highlight that these numbers reflect a movement towards reporting, and that's really important, where we're receiving the reports of the abuse, and then the authority, we are mandated to not only receive those reports, but also to investigate and to provide the intervention. So with these numbers, we can also say that, you know, thank you to the public, thank you to everybody that picks up the phone or uses all of the various methods that we have to make a report when you see that a child might be in danger. So what we want to do is continue that trend where as a society, we are looking out for our children's best interest.
Yeah. Now, one of the graphs on the screen gave us a figure of 33.2% for neglect. Now, that is one of the most commonly reported forms of abuse. So why is neglect sometimes harder for people to identify compared to physical abuse?
It's a variety of things. I will tell you that since the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, neglect continues to be the highest reported type of abuse that we receive, but the word neglect really is an umbrella. It's an umbrella category of various things that falls within that. So with neglect, it's children that are not being supervised. It's children who might not be in school. That's a form of neglect called educational neglect. So it's not only children who are homeless or, you know, don't have footwear, don't have access to food and things like that. It's a variety of things. So that's sometimes why it's a little bit harder for us to detect neglect, because sometimes, you know, we have an idea of what an abused child looks like, and it's not always this violent sort of marks on your body type of situation. It can be children who are looking after their younger siblings, being left at home for long periods, things like that. And that's why neglect it's reported. It's the highest form, in terms of the reports that we get. Because it's so many things that can fall under the category of neglect. I do think that when a lot of persons make those reports, they know exactly what that type might be, but how we categorize it, it falls under neglect. And I will tell you, a lot of the times it's really that children are not being provided with the level of supervision that they're supposed to be getting.
And allowing a child to be a child and to have the best childhood possible.
Definitely.
Now, many people still believe that child protection is, it's just the responsibility of the parents or the authorities. So now that leads me to this phrase, child protection is everybody's business. What does that truly mean?
Yes, and that's something that we say repeatedly. It's everywhere. You know, when you think about the insurance authority, that's what we are commonly associated with. We're saying that child protection is everybody's business. And that is because we want to think about child protection and child safety as a community issue, right? We have different incidents that reignite that national conversation surrounding child protection and what we want to move towards. You know, in Trinidad, we have this way of thinking, that's not my business, I don't want to get involved, right? And while that might be okay for certain things, we don't want that to be the case when it comes to the safety of our most vulnerable population. And the statistics really show us that they are the most vulnerable population. So we need to be doing better. We need to be looking at child protection and child safety as a community issue, where if you see something, please say something. Follow the various avenues that we have to make a report, and that can also be done anonymously. Even if you suspect that something might be going on, we're really urging the public to say something to us so that we can look into it further. And just a reminder to just provide as much information as you can on that child so that we can find the child, we can access, and we can intervene.
Now, Krista, in your experience as a psychologist, what are some of the emotional and psychological effects that abuse can have on children if intervention does not happen early?
So with child abuse, we really want early intervention because the best prognosis or the best outcomes for children happens when we intervene as soon as possible. Right? So, I mean, the effects, the psychological effects are so vast and they are so long term, right? So our children, they're experiencing so much trauma in our society. You know, the crime rates that we have, the things that children are not only experiencing, but the things that they are exposed to is causing a lot of psychological damage that affects their development. Because when we look at children, this is the time when their brains are forming, this is the time when their personality is developing, and we see so much differences and changes when they're exposed to certain things from a young age. So we see a lot of behavioral issues, we see links to mental illness, we see children who are so desensitized to certain things that they believe that this type of society is normal, where they are not safe in society, and that is a huge one, because what we want and what we advocate for is children to enjoy their childhood and to, you know, remain in that state of innocence as long as possible. And are we doing that? Are we allowing our children to be children? I would say for the most part, we are not. We are not.
Now, the data also highlights reports involving emotional abuse and domestic violence. And that is a huge topic these days, as it should be. So how damaging can exposure to unhealthy home environments be for a child development?
It's very, very damaging, and I would say that to a large extent it's being overlooked. So again, when we look at, or when we think about what is abuse and what does an abused child look like, we think about broken bones, bruises, tattered clothes, things like that. But what about the forms of abuse that go relatively unnoticed because you can't see it on the outside, and that is emotional abuse and exposure to things that children should not be exposed to, like domestic violence. So with that, it comes with a level of psychological damage in the way that they view the world, in the way that they view relationships, in the way that they view themselves. So with something like emotional abuse or psychological abuse, we see a lot of long-term issues that go into adulthood, into their relationships, into marriages. We see all sorts of negative outcomes. With the younger ones, we see a lot of issues with boundaries. They don't know how to relate to persons with boundaries because they don't have that. They're seeking validation, they're seeking attention, they're seeking comfort and love in spaces that they really should not, and that has long-term effects.
Now, you spoke about people not wanting to interfere. Now, I think the greatest irony of a Caribbean society is that, you know, we are known for meddling in everyone's business and always knowing everything happening around the corner. You know, they call us corner house, whatever. So we can always know what's happening in our neighbors' homes, but yet we don't want to interfere. We don't want to report something when we see something, especially when a child is being harmed. What would you say to those individuals who just, I don't want to interfere?
Yeah, so I think you're very correct in that. Is we gossip. We know information. And to me, what was always striking is that when we see a tragedy, then we hear a lot of conversations about, well, you know, I knew X, Y, and Z, or I heard X, Y, and Z. But I think in our society, there's a bit of fear that is surrounding reporting. And again, we live in a society where crime is rampant. Right, so we do have valid reasons to be fearful of making certain reports. So I just want to remind the public that, again, we have to change our perception about child abuse and about child protection, where our children deserve better. So when it comes to cases of where you suspect something might be going on or where you know something is going on, please remember that that information can be reported to us anonymously as well. But we need to take up that mantle. We need to start saying to ourselves, we can't wait for X, Y, and Z to do it. Because I think that's another thing, right? You say, other people are involved, they too will do it. No, we need to start today and just make that report so that something can be done. You know, there is this thing called mandatory reporting for certain persons. So teachers, anybody in a position of trust is what we call it, we have to report. So I myself is a person who, if I see something happening or a child tells me something, I am mandated by law, by legislation, to make a report. So teachers, persons within our, the churches and things like that, football coaches, our coaches, things like that.
Leaders.
All our community leaders, definitely, they have to report something. Otherwise, you can be held responsible. Right? So what we want to do is reach a space where society feels mandated to report. It might not be legislatively demanding, but we want to move to a space where everybody feels that need to do something and say something, because the safety of our children is so important.
Yeah. So now I'm going to ask you, what are some of the warning signs that teachers, neighbors, or relatives, even friends, can look out for when a child may be experiencing abuse or even neglect? I know you said neglect is sometimes hard to spot or categorize.
Yes. So I think, it's so vast. And sometimes it's very obvious. So, for example, you hear a lot of shouting in a specific home. You hear children bawling and crying. You see children walking on the street. They look, like they don't have access to food. They look like they're not being cared for properly. Those are some of the more common ones. But sometimes, something might be going on where a child tells you something. And what we have to remember with our children is that sometimes the way that they would say or try to disclose something to you might not be very obvious. You have to ask a little bit more questions to find out. But if a child says something to you that raises a red flag, where you think something might be going on, that this child might be unsafe or something is going on with this child, ask some more questions and pick up the phone, call us, get some more information, ask what to do next. Because we're also here to help. The numbers that we have in terms of the reported cases, that does not constitute all of the calls that we get. So we have persons who are on the phone lines to be able to walk you through certain things, explain certain things, help guide, so that we can then receive more information. So we do have persons, we do have information that is out there to help you as well to understand what a situation might be. And like I was saying, even if you suspect something, say something.
Yeah. Now, you've been doing tremendous work, and the authority has been doing really good work in this. Are there any public awareness campaigns that we should know about, or any work that you have maybe in the pipelines for the coming few months or year ahead?
So the Trans Authority, a huge part of what we do is advocacy. So, we are always doing things like this to raise public awareness. We do have very active social media presence as well. So where a lot of information can be found. What I want to say is that agencies, schools, any sort of agency can reach out to us to have sensitizations done. Apart from the Trans Authority, we have so many other government agencies and non-governmental agencies that are doing such good work in their own sphere to raise public awareness, not only about child abuse, but where can services be accessed, So I would say keep on social media, visit the Trans Authority's website, check us out, and, you can see a lot of the things that are available out there.
We've had the numbers on the screen as well. We have a hotline for you. That's 996 or 800-2014. And also there's an email address, and there is that website for all the information that you need to know, all the work that they've been doing at the Children's Authority. Well, before we wrap up, I have to ask you, Christo, is there anything you would like to say to our viewers this morning, maybe to encourage them? If you see something, say something. Again, it's everybody's business.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we want to talk about. After 11 years of doing this type of work, what we can really put out to the public is that we need your support. Thank you for doing the job that you have been doing. Persons who might be fearful, persons who have any reservations, we really do encourage you to reach out to us, have a conversation. And please, if you do see something, please say something, even if you just suspect that a child might be in danger.
Thank you very, very much for joining us this morning. Always a great interview with you, and we learned so much. For everything that you see here and more, you can check us out at TTT Live online. If you have a story idea or anything you want to share with us, all you have to do is send us an email at tttoday@ttt.co.tt. We take a break and we come back with more.
The plays that shake the arenas. The stories that move a nation. From football to cricket, track to tennis, every win, every rivalry, every headline. This is where Trinidad and Tobago come for sports.
TTT Sports. Committed, accurate, relevant. TTT Weather with Zaina James, daily at 7 p.m.
Being connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going on, you know.
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel. And I never regretted it.
I'm Virmala Balkaran, host of the Socially Safe podcast, the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
What if possibility was only the beginning? Welcome to Limitless, a journey where ideas become action and action becomes impact. From breaking barriers and challenging misconceptions to designing with dignity and driving innovation with heart. This series explores how inclusion is moving from concept to community in Trinidad and Tobago. Across each episode, we meet the change makers and everyday leaders turning challenges into opportunity, building real solutions that change real lives, from possibility to impact. This is Limitless.
Now, before we begin this conversation, we want to make it abundantly clear that this interview is not intended to create panic or fear. At this time, there are no reported cases of Ebola in Trinidad and Tobago or the wider Caribbean region. For years, many of us have heard about Ebola outbreaks affecting parts of the African continent. But with ongoing outbreaks in countries including the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda, the U.S. health authorities now increasing screening and monitoring measures for travelers The topic is once again drawing international attention. This morning's discussion is simply meant to educate and inform you, the public, about the virus, how it spreads, the symptoms to look out for, and the measures health authorities use to contain outbreaks. Joining us now is Dr. Sanjeev Parasram, a physician with extensive experience in public health, occupational medicine, and outbreak response, including Ebola and COVID-19 management. Good morning, Dr. Parasram.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome back. Always a pleasure having you here to talk about something trending, and this time it is Ebola. Now, for viewers hearing about Ebola again in the headlines, what exactly is the Ebola virus disease?
So there are actually 4 types of Ebola virus in the middle part of Africa. The one that is spreading right now is called the Bundig-Bio virus, I believe. It's basically a virus that is zoonotic, meaning that it spreads from animals to human beings through contact with the fluids from an infected animal. It does cause very severe illness, unfortunately, but it's not something that we have to be too worried about. So I appreciate your introduction that we shouldn't be panicking. But it is something that is raising concerns, certainly in Africa.
Well, yeah, we've really heard about those outbreaks in parts of Africa, but also for years that has been happening. So why is Ebola considered such a serious public health concern globally? And what does it mean that the WHO has now declared it a public health emergency of international concern?
So the WHO would not only declare something of international concern if they think it's going to cause a pandemic. They will also do it in cases like this, where they would state at the outset that there's no significant pandemic risk. But because the disease is such a severe disease, and in the member nations, especially the Democratic Republic of Congo, where there's ongoing humanitarian crises, economic crises, poverty, rapid shifts in population for work, and so it's a recipe for spread within that country, and a recipe for potentially having thousands of deaths. So the reason they declare it as such really is to really garner attention from the member states, especially the ones surrounding that, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and for international partners to lend assistance and ramp up their measures to contain any spread. That's the real reason that they do that.
Now, can you explain to us how exactly does Ebola spread from person to person?
It's exclusively via contact with the infected body fluids from an animal or a human. And that body fluid has to then get into your mouth or your nose through your mucous membranes or through a cut in your skin. That's the way that it is spread. And the reason it's such a problem in Africa, because there are certain cultural practices where when someone passes away, they have to, bathe the body a certain way. And therefore, you're coming into contact with, the fluids of a dead person. But it's basically close contact with the body fluids. It's not airborne.
And what are some of the early symptoms that people should be aware of?
But like any virus, it triggers a lot of fever, body aches, and vomiting. But the warning signs would be when you're seeing things like nosebleeds or diarrhea with blood in it. Those are the warning signs that people might then think if there's a history of travel to that area, then you may be at risk of having Ebola.
Now, Doctor, many people probably remember the fear surrounding Ebola outbreaks years ago. Yes. And of course, as we spoke about just a few days ago, we're still kind of in that trauma from the pandemic. So is Ebola as contagious as viruses like COVID-19?
Short answer is no. It's nowhere near as contagious. But still, it can trigger that sort of panic. And I do remember in 2014 when I was working down in Point Lisas, I would have had to deal with that panic where there's a tugboat that is supposed to pull in these large ships. And the tugboat operators were refusing to pull the ship in because they were panicking. Even though the ship was nowhere near the Congo at the time, it was actually thousands of miles away. The ship never actually was on land. But they were panicking, so I had to go in and do a little lecture so that they would feel confident that okay, they're not at risk. So it is something that is worrisome because it's a severe illness, but it's nowhere near as contagious as COVID.
There's always a lot of misinformation and rumors flying around. It's sad, but that's also the world that we're living in. Information is easily dispersed all over. So now we're hearing that U.S. authorities have started enhanced screening measures after, I believe, an American missionary physician had contracted the virus in the DRC.
Yes.
So what does that screening typically involve?
Well, most of the time it's based really on a questionnaire. And I guess through the digital system, they could get most of the information even before the person lands. But it is really a questionnaire where you're asking them about symptoms and where they travel to. There are measures that they may institute, like temperature screening and so on. The measures are not very, sensitive in that they're not going to pick up a lot of cases, but it's really a vital way to get information across to people and identify the really high risk ones that you could now, pass that on to your health authorities to monitor.
Yeah, so it's not very effective, but as you said, it's the first step, in maybe contact tracing and all of that too. So at this time, there are no reported cases in Trinidad and Tobago or the wider Caribbean. What would you want the population this morning to understand about the disease at this stage?
Well, the epicenter of the disease is really, really far away. It's thousands of miles away in Africa. The risk to us is minuscule at this time. If there are cases that happen to come on our shores, the risk would still be very low to the public because it is such a comparatively difficult disease to get compared to COVID, for example. So we do not need to panic. And that's the main message I would want to share. Yeah.
Doctor, what systems or protocols would countries like ours typically have in place if there were a suspected case?
Well, like COVID, if you do have a suspected case, and that would generally be based on a travel history and symptoms, it would be strict quarantining protocols, contact tracing, and testing to confirm or not. Not all cases are going to be Ebola if you have a suspected case. So, in fact, recently the WHO had to change one of their statements because they call a case a confirmed case when it actually wasn't when they tested. So, it will basically be the similar sort of thing that we did in COVID. You quarantine people and you test appropriately.
Doctor, should we at this stage be putting things, some screenings in place for people who are probably traveling from areas like Africa?
We can. I think it will be more important that you flag these persons, en route, so you know that someone is coming. So hopefully the systems can do that. But at least I know we now have our digital systems when we come in, so that you can now understand this is the countries that the people passed through or that they were in, and then you identify those to the public health authorities, who will then make a risk assessment and decide, okay, we're going to put this person in the quarantine or not, or just put them into some sort of. But you need to at least collect that information and pass it to the health authorities. Yeah.
Now, I spoke about the misinformation during the health scares. Have you heard about any of those, heard any myths or rumors flying around about Ebola that you would like to clear up for us this morning?
The only myth I think people would share really is that they think it's very contagious. And it isn't. It really requires a very, very close contact with a sick person. And one other myth is unlike COVID-19, where you could spread the disease before you feel sick, before you have any symptoms, in Ebola, that's not the case. So people know when they are sick, and that's when they could spread it, and they take measures generally. So it's something to be, at least it's a measure of a little, you feel a little better knowing that it only spreads when the person is sick, because at least you could identify who is sick, unlike some of the flu-like illnesses where they can spread it even before they have symptoms.
Dr. Parasram, what's the main message that you want the public to take away from our discussion this morning?
The risk from Ebola to us is extremely low at this time. Ebola is not a virus that is likely to cause any sort of a pandemic. There may be isolated spread here and there if a case flies from the Democratic Republic of Congo to another place, which is what happened in the last major Ebola outbreak in 2014. But they were isolated sporadic cases, and none of them really cause any sort of spread because, again, it's difficult to spread it, really. It's only via close contact. So we don't need to panic. We just need to be, aware of the proper sources of information and share proper sources of information.
Doctor, before you go, what is the treatment usually like for Ebola?
Well, like I said, there were four Ebola viruses, and the main one that caused the pandemic, but not a pandemic, sorry, epidemic in Africa in 2014, they developed a vaccine that is quite effective. Unfortunately, this particular Ebola virus that is causing the new outbreak, there is no vaccine. So that's unfortunate. But the treatment really is getting care early, and it's supportive care. There's no actual antiviral that will work for this one in particular, but it's really just supportive care in a hospital setting.
Before I wrap up, I know that we previously spoke to you about the hantavirus just about maybe 2 weeks ago. So from a public health standpoint, is the risk still considered low at this time?
Definitely. It still is very, very low. And all the cases are well accounted for and being actively monitored at this point in time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjeev Parasram, for joining us this morning. Have a good day.
You too.
That was Dr. Sanjeev talking to us about Ebola. What should you know? And again, we want to stress that this segment, that interview, was not meant to cause any type of panic or scare. We're simply dissecting the facts, what is happening with Ebola. And again, there has been no confirmed case in Trinidad and Tobago or the wider Caribbean region. So this is just for your information this morning. You can access that and everything else that you see here at TTT Live Online. If you have a story idea, a press release, or you simply want to collaborate with us, we'd love to hear from you. So contact us today at tttoday@ttt.co.tt, and you can be a part of the conversation that's shaping our nation. Trinidad and Tobago Today, all the news you can trust and the stories that matter.
The plays that shake the arenas. The stories that move a nation. From football to cricket, track to tennis, every win, every rivalry, every headline. This is where Trinidad and Tobago come for sports.
TTT Sports with Nasira Mohammed, daily at 7 p.m.
Being connected, it means a lot because first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going on,
I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel, and I never regretted it.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International, elevating lives one property at a time.
The time is now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. No, not that. Right now. All I need is one night. We're gonna have to splurge on it. All I need is one night. I went deaf on it. No, not that. Right now. All I need is one night. We're gonna have to splurge on it. All I need is one night. I went deaf on it. This is the new day.
A new sound, a new style, a new style, a new class. Next 99.1 FM, the next level of radio.
Right now.
When it matters, we're there, reporting the news as it happens, because your world can't wait. TTT News, nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago Today on TTT. Well, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service says it has received the forensic report into the shooting of Joshua Samaru. Investigators will now submit the file to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for legal advice on the next steps. Samaru was shot by police on January 20th at the corner of College Road and Dookie Singh Street in St. Augustine. His girlfriend, Kaya Seeley, was also shot and left paralyzed. The incident sparked public concern after video surfaced appearing to show Samaru with his hands raised in a sign of surrender before shots were fired. Police say several exhibits were analyzed at the Forensic Science Center, and the investigation remains ongoing with updates to follow. And a quick shout out this morning to 10-year-old Emmy Eaton from St. Joseph's Girls RC School. Remember our interview with her dad, Dr. Eaton, and her teacher, Willan Ivan Nurse? Well, she's making history, sitting CSEC Spanish and history exams as a private candidate, all while still preparing for her SE exams. And Emmy began her Spanish studies through the Community Language Services program, and she's now taking on exams far beyond her years. She has exams today at 1 p.m. and again on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. And from all of us here at Trinidad and Tobago Today, we're wishing her all the very best of luck. Go, Emmy. Well, in case you're wondering what the weather is going to be like today, Zaina James has got you covered.
Zaina James here with your weather update. Mostly sunny and slightly hazy conditions are expected across both islands as dry air and a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust continue to dominate the atmosphere. During this time, daytime heating could still trigger a few brief showers from mid-morning into the afternoon, mainly over western and hilly areas. Temperatures will climb near 33 degrees in Trinidad and 32 degrees in Tobago. If you have an interest in the seas, conditions will remain on the higher end of moderate, with wave heights between 2 and 2.5 meters in open waters, while sheltered areas stay below 1 meter but could still become occasionally choppy.
Since 1972, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack, whether it's on your day off, long drives, or house lives. We are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar.
This isn't just radio, it's tradition.
It's memories. It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Always 100, got you on your way. Sweet 100, sweet 100.
There are a number of risk factors for heart disease, so a lot of attention has to be put towards preventive cardiology. What can we do to reduce the burden due to all these risk factors? Hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol, need to stop cigarette smoking, you gotta get people exercising.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Ever wondered what happens before the lights come on? Before the crowd pours in? Before the magic hits the stage? This is your all-access pass. Sneak Peek with Junior K takes you behind the scenes of the biggest cultural moments and the hottest events across TNT. From the sound checks to the stage setups, from final rehearsals to exclusive interviews. If it's about to be big, we're already there. Catch Sneak Peek airing daily on TTT and relive every moment on all our social media platforms. Sneak Peek with Junior K, where the story starts before the spotlight.
Hi everybody, I am Leah.
And I'm Dion.
And we are
The Duncans.
Listen, we're here to tell you about a project the Lord has given to us called the Marriage Confessional. It is geared toward married couples, those that are on the road to marriage, and those that want to get married one day.
So join us on TTT and on Facebook and YouTube at TTT Live Online.
The Marriage Confessional, only on TTT.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Zahir Ali, Director of Policy and Community Support at the Ministry of Homeland Security, says the government is implementing targeted measures to assist at-risk youth and curb involvement in criminal activity. Speaking at a media briefing on Tuesday, he pointed to two initiatives recently introduced by the ministry aimed at tackling youth crime. Mr. Ali said that following a national symposium held in March, two initiatives are now being implemented to help safeguard children and steer them away from crime. These include a special psychosocial intervention and education engagement program, as well as a national parenting seminar.
Too long, I believe that we have left a space between our nation youth and the society. We have spoken about a society raising a child, a community raising a child, but sometimes we haven't manifested that in a way that we should. And then we complain when a gang leader or a gang member takes that space to be able to nourish and promote that particular illegality where that child is concerned. So it's an opportunity to close that gap and to make a strong statement to these children that we care about you, we are interested in your development, we recognize that you are the future of Trinidad and Tobago.
The initiatives are delivered by a multi-sector team of professionals, including psychologists, social workers, educators, and others, and focus on Form 1 students identified as particularly at risk. Mr. Ali stressed that enforcement alone is not enough to address the issue.
And I really want to, acknowledge the Honorable Minister, because when I consulted him and the permanent secretaries, I was given the confidence, I was given the support, and he indicated that we cannot shoot our way out of this. We cannot charge our way out of this. And prevention, prevention, prevention.
He added that the program has already been rolled out in several schools, including El Dorado West Secondary, Signal Hill Secondary, and Tranquility Secondary. He noted that the initiatives are specifically designed to avoid stigmatizing schools while reinforcing to students that society is invested in their growth and development. In other news, police are questioning a seventh individual in the case of missing 2-year-old Angelo Tobias Plaza as extensive search efforts continued without results. Angelo was last seen at his home in Goodwood around 7:30 p.m. on Monday, May 11th. His mother, Khalifa Tobias, and stepfather, Shannon Miller, are among those being interviewed by investigators. Police indicated that the cybercrime unit is analyzing electronic devices seized as part of the investigation. Acting on intelligence received, search efforts expanded to the Studley Park landfill on Sunday. However, investigators said the operation has so far yielded no substantial evidence. Search teams have also combed areas along Pig Farm Road, the vicinity of the family's home in Goodwood, and nearby coastal areas. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has partnered with the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, the Hunter Search and Rescue Team, and other agencies in the ongoing search for the missing toddler. While police continue to assure the public of their commitment to resolving the matter, they are again appealing to citizens to refrain from spreading rumors and misinformation on social media. Investigators are urging anyone with credible information that could assist in locating the child to contact the police. In some sport now, The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force extended their lead on day 3 of the West Indies Championship final, building on a 17-run first innings advantage against the Guyana Harpy Eagles at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. In their second innings, the Red Force were announced by a stellar knock from left-handed opener Evan Lewis, who remains unbeaten on 122 off 246 deliveries, a patient innings spanning over 400 minutes at the crease. Lewis hit 16 fours and 2 sixes. He had a solid support from Amir Jangu, who contributed 48, and Jason Mohammed with 37. The Red Force posted 265 for 8 with Virasamy Primol at the pick of the Harpy Eagles bowlers, taking 3 wickets for 18. Kimo Paul also claimed 3 wickets, while Shamar Joseph took 2. Today's fourth and final day will be an all-out scramble for both teams pushing for a win. And that's what's making the news at this time. When we come back, it's our number 2 of Trinidad and Tobago Today.
Attention viewers in Trinidad and Tobago. The Truth of God now airs on the TTT network every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You won't want to miss the dynamic preaching of Pastor Jennings as he speaks from God's Holy Bible. The Truth of God, Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. on the TTT network.
Every client deserves expertise, integrity, and guidance they can trust. At Camino Realty International, we deliver integrated real estate solutions, sales, rentals, property management, and project development. Driven by excellence, transparency, and innovation, we protect value, create opportunity, and build lasting success. Because real estate isn't just about buildings. For more information on our services, log on to CaminoRealty.com or follow us on social media at Camino Realty TT. Camino Realty International. Elevating lives, one property at a time.
Honoring the beauty of Indian heritage, TTT invites you to immerse yourself in Desi May as we mark Indian Arrival Month with color, music, and magic of Indian cinema. Throughout May, enjoy your favorite Bollywood hits and timeless classics, from iconic blockbusters to treasured favorites, bringing the heart of India straight to your screen. Tune in every Saturday at 8:35 p.m. and every Sunday from 4 p.m. to experience rich traditions, captivating stories, and unforgettable characters that continue to inspire generations. Plus, watch, text, and get rewarded for our exciting viewer promotion. Desi May, celebrating Indian Arrival Month exclusively on TTT.
Hey, up for this exciting challenge and confident about your business? If you are, the 10-20 feature is just what you need. It's where you give your customers 10 reasons in 20 seconds why they should shop by you. This fun-filled feature will be captured, packaged, and aired on television and promoted on social media simultaneously. Small, medium, and large businesses call or WhatsApp 764-3378 or 313-4215. Let's feature your business. 1020 with Junior K. It's affordable, effective, and fun.
Early prostate cancer has absolutely no signs or symptoms, and that's why we strongly push the men once a year, get out there and get screened with a digital rectal examination and a PSA, prostate-specific antigen, a blood test. Any PSA above 4 is abnormal. All men, once they hit 40 years of age, go and have that PSA test done.
Be viewing Caribbean Medical TV on this station.
Welcome back to our number 2 of Trinidad and Tobago Today on TTT. Well, today we're having a very important and heartfelt conversation about mental health, depression, suicide prevention, and the power of reminding people that they are not alone. In a world where many people suffer silently behind smiles, the I Matter movement is working to spread a message of hope, compassion, support, and human connection, reminding people that their lives have value and that help, healing, and understanding are possible. The movement was born out of a personal heartbreak and pain, and the reality that many young people struggle with depression, hopelessness, and emotional battles in silence. Its mission is simple but powerful. You matter. We're here, we care. Well, this morning joining us are two individuals leading that mission. We welcome Satish Ramjas, founder of the I Matter movement, and Anela Buru Humphrey, lead counseling psychologist with the movement. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I matter. I started the show this morning by saying I matter, you matter, we all matter. And now we get to really explain what exactly all of that means. So Satish, the I Matter movement was born from a deeply personal experience involving your nephew's battle with depression. So can you share a little bit with us this morning about how that pain really inspired this movement and transformed your purpose?
Definitely. Firstly, thank you so very much for allowing us this space and allowing I Matter movement a space to really share emotional experience in my life that transformed me. The I Matter movement started with seeing someone I love dearly. He's just not a nephew. He's my eldest nephew. He's someone who is like a son to me. And not knowing that he was internally dealing with so much. There was no signs at all from him that would have said to us he needed some help, until it was at the last moments when he attempted suicide. And from then to now, our family has been battling this experience. And the initial concept of I Matter movement was really and truly to raise funds to support him in his journey to India for a critical surgery that he has to undergo. And it blossomed into something else based on the overwhelming amount of support we have been receiving from the general public, from family and friends. And so many people are also going through dark places in their lives, and hence the reason I reached out to a number of professionals, a number of persons who share the same emotions like me, and they want to help people fight against depression and suicide.
Now, Anela, from a psychological perspective, why do so many people suffer with depression and suicidal thoughts daily and silently, even when we're surrounded by so much friends and family and love?
Well, suicide and depression is a mental condition that it does not matter your age, your profession, your background. It affects everyone, right? But most of the time, persons are afraid because they are afraid of fear of judgment. They are afraid of being considered weak, right? Because of the whole stigma behind mental illness, right? It's something that persons, they don't like to speak about, right? There are also persons who may not be fully aware or understand what they are experiencing to express themselves, right? And it's simply just because persons, they are afraid to ask for help.
Now, the phrase "you matter," it sounds really simple, but for someone who's struggling mentally or emotionally, those words can actually be life-changing. Why is that message so important today?
We want to focus on I Matter because I believe that no matter how many persons tell you that you matter, if it doesn't come from inside of you, from your mental state that I matter, then it will not make the impact it should make.
Yeah, internalizing and really understanding that you have a purpose. I was listening to a podcast this morning while getting ready for work, and they spoke about, as you talked about before, how silent the struggle can be. And so many people, they're just operating as normal, or they're grieving for something, or they're mourning some loss, and you're thinking, okay, they're fine, but they're carrying this tremendous pain, and we really don't know. Now, a lot of young people today are struggling as well, and that's the sad reality of all of this. Now, Satish, you also spoke about how society often waits until tragedy happens before showing compassion. So why do you think that people sometimes struggle to support others while they are still crying out for help?
From my experience, when this unfolded in November last year, a popular television host posted it on his page, and it was so heartbreaking to see the comments from society that persons were wishing the worst to happen to him, not knowing what is really unfolding with this young man. And this young man is just 20 years of age. Life is about to happen for him. And we really don't pay particular attention to young people who are coming out of secondary school, CSEC, A-levels, and who are now going to face the world. That transition is a heavy weight for them to carry.
Confusing.
It's confusing, it's overwhelming, and especially if they don't have a clear direction in what they want to do. And this young man was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed with everything, the experiences from when he was a child in primary school, what he would have had to endure, and now coming out into the world of work, more or less, and not knowing what to do. It was overwhelming, relationship issues, etc. And when he attempted this and we saw what was being posted on social media, it was so heartbreaking because people were wishing the worst to happen to him. And then a lot of persons posted, if the story was rest in peace, we will all go down that line of, I'm so sorry this happened, we need to speak up more. But when people are going through depression, what do? We judge, we criticize, we laugh, we make fun of them, and we don't give them that space to feel comfortable. And that is the reason why I created, and we are creating, it's on the formation stage still, this I Matter movement to create spaces where people could come together and feel comfortable being vulnerable. We are creating 3 divisions in the I Matter movement. One division is peer support, because sometimes people will reach that level that they don't really require the professional assistance just yet. Peer support will assist them. From there, we go to the professional support if they require same. And over the recent couple of days, we would have had religious leaders reaching out. And we have now created a 3rd division, which is inter-religious division, whereby maybe people will feel more comfortable speaking to their imam, speaking to their pastor, the father, or the pundit. So we are trying to create a very safe space where anyone could walk in and feel comfortable having their conversation and having their voice heard and feeling that their presence matter. And that is basically it. I Matter is about making everyone feel safe, feel that their presence matter, and feel that their voice matter.
Yeah. Now, Anela, what are some of the warning signs that someone may be battling depression or suicidal thoughts, even if they appear fine on the outside?
Yeah, so a lot of persons, they do appear fine. You might see them smiling, and they're going about their everyday daily activities as normal, right? But there are a lot of warning signs that persons could look for, and these would include, you might see some drastic change in their moods, right? They might withdraw from family members, right? They might have a change in their mood, change in their appetite, change in their sleep, right? You might hear persons talking about losing, like killing, right? They might hear them referring to killing themselves, killing oneself. They would feel like dying. You might see them giving away their possessions, right? So all of these are warning signs that you have to look for. Yeah?
Now, Satish, for someone who is viewing right now, who feels hopeless, emotionally exhausted, or they believe that they have no purpose, what would you want them to hear today?
Hold on. Hold on. Take a deep breath. Give it one more day, because there is someone outside there who's experiencing exactly what you are experiencing, and this too shall pass. This feeling of the overwhelming feeling will pass. So hold on, know that you matter, your voice matter, your presence matter, and just hold on.
Now, you said something earlier that that I really want to come back to before I wrap up. You talked about social media and the post with your nephew, and you said that if it was an RIP post, then it would be something different. And the truth is, even in death, people still have some really negative things to say. And that just brings us to the point that social media is so dangerous. And I think it's become so toxic, especially in Trinidad and Tobago. I can speak about our country. So sometimes you post something, you're struggling and you want some help, and people are under that post ridiculing. And that can be, as they say, your 13th reason. That can be the reason why you just give up and say, wow, the entire country is against me. Well, this is a world. It equals, this equals to the world. And I don't think we realize how much we bully as a society, and we are so judgmental, and we love to say that. And then, I don't know, do we ever really stop and say, what are we doing to our fellow man?
So very true. And we witness this all the time on social media. And I mean, this was the first experience that we had to go through. And when I saw it firsthand, it was devastating. It was devastating. And although it was devastating on one that you're dealing with a situation at hand, then you have public opinion who really and truly doesn't understand and know what is really happening in the background, who has all the information or posting all type of information on social media. It was really, really heartbreaking. At that point, when he was going through that, it was a couple weeks, we had to ensure that he was not viewing any type of information on social media, because that would have pushed him in a deeper end.
Yeah, we are so judgmental as a society. Well, before we wrap up, Anil, I have to ask you, how can young people just give us some guidance? How can we navigate the social media environment to protect our mental health?
Well, there are simple things that we can do. Limit your time online, right? As we know, social media can have positive and negative effects on an individual, and it all depends on the amount of time you spend on it, what you use the internet for, So in terms of cyberbullying, isolation, all of these would be negative effects, right? And it all depends on what you do, how you do it, the persons you interact with and you communicate with, right? And in terms of positive, right, you can seek help, right? Because there are communities, there are persons who you can reach out to, right? So what you can do is, I say to my clients, prepare yourself for failure at times, right? But because the internet is not always full of positives, right? But we need to limit our time.
Yeah, and also try to choose what you consume too. Maybe things that would uplift you, and sometimes it's okay to log off. I always say that it's okay to just give it a break and not read the comments, because they can be really horrible. Now, what's next for iMatter?
So we are looking to officially launch on May 31st. The venue is yet to be decided. We are in the background creating all the committees in place. We want to look, as I mentioned earlier, 3 divisions: peer support, professional support, and interreligious support. So that's the immediate goals. And then further to that, as of June, we want to ensure that we don't just invite persons to a venue, but we go out there and reach the communities that sometimes it have people who are going through depression, who aren't able to reach at your facility. So our approach is now going out to them, liaising and partnering with the counselors, the local counselors, and other agencies, because the iMatter movement is not a one-man movement, or it's not one movement. We want to join and partner with as many persons as possible to get this movement recognized nationally and make the impact. If we save one life, the goals and the objectives of the movement is really being achieved.
Can you tell us your social media platforms that we can follow iMatter?
Definitely. We are on Facebook. We recently, within the last couple of days, we would have created an Instagram page, and we are hoping to go by May 31st on TikTok.
Thank you very much, Satish and Anala, for joining us. All the best in the iMatter movement, and we really have so much hope for this movement, and we know that it will continue to contribute to mental health awareness and really helping members of our society. All right, the time now 7:23 on Trinidad and Tobago Today. We take a quick break, and when we come back, the show continues.
connected, it means a lot because, first of all, you can't do this by yourself.
When you have your phone, you always have somebody at your side. I could call for help, anything going like,
You know, I'm giving children the opportunity to experience outside of their neighborhood.
Digital is kind of a comfort, you know, you feel good that people in your lives are always able to be contacted.
I was with the other network and I was having problems, so I joined Digicel and I never regretted it.
All right, settle on. Let's see who made the roster this year.
Excuse me, sir.
Ahí ya le queda push a mi amigo, ahí te la digo.
Mr. Hoyt,
Yes, Principal.
are these the new students?
Yes. The best of the best.
Stop exciting time. New class.
That's a wrap.
Say, CEO, what if the term now starts and these children missing school already?
Hey, what are you doing there?
Introducing the new class of Next 99.1 FM.
Your news anytime, anywhere. Join us nightly at 7. TTT News. Committed, accurate, relevant.
It's time to step into the exciting world where art, interior design, and immersive creativity collide. On May 31st, Trinidad and Tobago will host the highly anticipated debut of the Worlds Collide Trinidad edition at the Elevated Creative Hub in Marval, a premier Caribbean art and interior design collective that has already made waves across Jamaica and Barbados. But this is more than just an art exhibition. Worlds Collide is designed to transform spaces into experiences, blending fine art, interior design, culture, and storytelling into immersive environments that challenge the way we view creativity in the Caribbean. And this year's Trinidad edition will showcase some incredible local talent and also highlight the growing importance of the creative or orange economy in the region. Joining me this morning are Dr. Prishni Ramprasad Singh, artist and creative, whose work explores the intersection of biology and beauty, and Stefan Amali, founder of Worlds Collide Trinidad. Good morning, and thank you for being
What
here.
an introduction. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, you're most welcome. Thank you for sharing this with us this morning. So for viewers hearing about Worlds Collide for the first time,
Yes.
what is the concept behind this event, and how is this different from a traditional art exhibition?
Well, great question. Worlds Collide, as the name suggests, it's an interactive art show. It fuses different aspects and different elements of culture. So we like to fuse a bit of music with dance, of course, with visual art. So there are two nuances to how we represent art on the night of the show. There is art on display, and then there's also an auction segment of the show, so persons can buy art and bid for art on the night. So it's very interactive. And obviously there's a huge cultural element. You know, for us, the vision of Worlds Collide is to use art as a vehicle that can unite Caribbean culture. Obviously, me being Jamaican, as somebody who's had the privilege of being exposed to Trinidad's culture and falling in love with the culture here, it was so important for us to bring the show to Trinidad. I think that you guys have such an immense cultural reputation and so much cultural influence in the region. So that's really why it was just so important for us to bring the show here, you know.
Now, you've had successful shows in Jamaica and also Barbados. So why Trinidad and Tobago is up next?
Well, I think, you know, in looking at it, there are two perspectives I would answer that question from. From a broader socio-economic perspective, I feel as though I've been compelled with a very unique vision to see how and where I can contribute to the culture and the tourism industry in Trinidad and Tobago. With the geopolitical tensions in the world, obviously we know that Trinidad has made an indelible contribution to the oil and gas industry, but like you said in the introduction, it's time for us to really take a look at how the orange economy can grow here, because you know, there's just a lot going on in the world and we need different revenue streams as a region to be able to bolster and to further the growth of our economy. So that's one level why I think the show is important here. And then secondly, you know, there's just so much talent in this country, so much talent. You know, we have Dr. Prishni Rampasad Singh, who's one of the feature artists. We have Aaron Crow, who's another local artist, Luke Pounder, Marianne Polonais. So it's really giving local Trini artists a platform to showcase their work, to be seen, to be heard, and most importantly, to be in spaces where they can feel acknowledged and appreciated, you know?
Well, Prishni, tell us about your role in all of this.
Well, as he said, I'm one of the feature artists. He would have approached me about the show. And I personally have been doing art for a really, really long time, but I've never actually shown my pieces in a public space. So when he reached out to me, I said, absolutely, I'd love to be on board. And when he showed me the iterations in the different countries, I said, wow, that's something I've definitely never seen before here. So I was very much excited to be part of something like that.
Yeah. Now, this event explores the idea of interior design versus art. So are these still separate creative spaces, or are they becoming increasingly interconnected today?
Yeah, I would say definitely increasingly interconnected. I think that, especially for my style of art, I'm an abstract expressionist. So in my style of art, you can see no evidence or trace of anything formal. You can't make out somebody. It's all about the emotional invocation of color. And that really works well with interior designers, because a lot of interior design now is very modern. So there's a lot of minimalism in terms of the use of color. It's a lot more uses of whites and blacks and grays. And, you know, so that kind of thing really works well with interior designers, because my art then just gives that kind of punch of color and space. It's not too much of like landscape or anything like that. So I think more and more, to answer your question, there is a strong symbiosis between those two worlds of visual art and interior design. Huge shout out to our head of interior design, Mr. Alex Yates, who works with us on those kinds of projects, because we are actually working on a huge project in Jamaica right now where we're fusing the two. He's doing the interior design and we are bringing the visual art to the space. So very similar concept of the show. It's fusing those two worlds. And of course the music element as well. You know, we're gonna have a lot of wonderful music, different selections from different parts of the world, Spanish music, local Trini music, obviously being Jamaican, or forget some dancehall, a little reggae on the night. So that's really what Worlds Collide is about. It's a celebration of culture and multiculturalism, you know?
Mm-hmm. So Dr. Prishni, tell us now about your art. We saw some images on the screen with you hard at work. So tell us about the type of art that you do, and how long have you been doing this?
Well, it definitely does not look as put together as it looked in those photos. So I started painting around the age of 12. I started with mostly acrylic paints, but it's always been realism for me. I've always been very much inspired by the landscape, by persons, but in the acrylic format. It's only recently I started using oil paints, and something about the blendability has just been so beautiful. I've been starting to do portraits and things that I wasn't able to do before. So, very much inspired by things around me. I like to see exactly what I see. I'd like to capture it in exactly that essence on paper.
I see. So now your contribution to Worlds Collide, can you give us a sneak peek of that?
Yeah, so actually, the name of my collection is called A Walker's Gaze, and it's inspired by an extremely talented local photographer by the name of Nicholas Walker. And he does, oh my God, his photos are exceptional. So every single photo, painting that I've done is a rendition of a photo that he would have taken, including the live piece. All 5 pieces are something that he has taken a photograph of. Yeah.
That sounds beautiful. Now, Trinidad has a really vibrant cultural identity that you seem to be very obsessed with, rightfully so. I mean, yes, welcome to Trinidad.
Thank you.
So, how do Caribbean influences really shape the visual language and the creativity showcased in Worlds Collide?
You know, that's a great question. I think when we think of creatives, many times creatives are thought of as like these ethereal, hard-to-reach people that are just in their own worlds. I think for my personal journey, I'm proud to stand as somebody who kind of reshapes that stereotype, you know, being someone who's also a law student in addition to being a creative. And I guess I say that to answer your question, one of the biggest things that makes a creative influential, whether a visual artist or influencer, is really courage. You know, people probably won't associate that quality with a creative, but courage is so important to be a top creative. It takes so much courage to put your emotions on a canvas, or to put it in song, or to put it in spoken word. It takes a level of courage because, you know, like you spoke about in your earlier segment on social media, you have a set of people who go say, nah, that not saying thing, that not thing. Yeah. So courage, I'd say, is the #1 thing that I think goes very unappreciated in giving.
Tough crowd.
I mean,
yeah, very, very
super tough crowd. But when you win over a tough crowd, you know, that's when you know your worth and your veracity as a creative.
So finally, tell us what can we expect after Worlds Collide on May 31st?
Well, before we get into what we can expect after, I have to take the time, of course, to big up my sponsors. First of all, I have to big up Dime, big up Tixie. I have to say lots of love to Coca-Cola and Dasani, who are beverage sponsors. Bridens as well, want to show them a lot of love, and thanks to everybody who has come on board so far. You know, the show is 2 weeks away, so anybody watching this that feels as though they'd still want to come on board as well, it's never too late. But you know, Worlds Collide is a movement that's growing really quickly. Obviously, we did 5 shows in Jamaica, we did Barbados last year, we're doing Trinidad at the end of this month. We've been approached to look at about 4 other islands, so we're probably going to start going into the Spanish-speaking Caribbean very soon with the show. My personal goal for the show, and obviously maybe Prishni would share this, is to do the show in 100 countries. So we've done, Trinidad will make 4, because the show started in the US, and then Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad. So this will make 4, so 96 countries to go.
Wow.
I don't know in what time period we'll get this done, but that's the ambition that we have for the show. We just know that art is a wonderful vehicle for young people to ascertain upward social mobility, and that's something that we really all need, you know, so.
Well, we'll see you on May 31st at the Elevated Creative Hub in Maraval. All right, Prishni, all the best for this Worlds Collide. And
will you be coming to the show?
Yeah, to see Prishni's work, of course. We'll definitely get some highlights for our viewers who will not make it, but most of them will.
Yes, and if you are watching right now and you're interested in purchasing tickets are online. You can go on www.tixie.live, look at Worlds Collide, and you can purchase a ticket. Also, special thanks to Elevated Creative Hub, that's the place where we're hosting the event. You know, they have a very, very special vision of giving Caribbean artists a space to dream. Special thanks to Miss Mary Hinkson, who is the person that's allowing us to use the space. And yeah, we're so excited. May 31st can't come soon enough. So get your tickets, follow us on social media at Stefan Amali, at Prishni_R. And then, of course, at High Esteem Agency, which is the company that's funding and powering the show. You can follow us, reach out to us. You want to learn. I think ticket links are in all of our bios, so can definitely get a ticket. And we look forward to everyone's love and support on the show.
Dr. Prishni, I think you just have a PRO here now. So this is your marketing specialist. I think he will definitely get you some more followers and everything else.
Doing an excellent job. I have no complaints.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Prishni
well.
and Stefan, for joining us. Worlds Collide taking place on May 31st at the Elevated Creative Hub. We take a break, and when we come back, Link Up is to come, and also Carmina Realty there with us.
I'm lost in Trinidad. woke high in the morning, masqueraders calling. We dance until the sunrise. It's bacchanal, we enjoy it.
I'm Jamila Bannister, host of the Socially Safe podcast, the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
सबको मालूम है जहांगीर की रखेल है हमारी बाप की उम्र का होगा कम से कम
अरे बाप है वो इस घर में मैं बच्चों की तरह पला हूँ समझी
घर में तो कुत्ते भी पाले जाते हैं मियाँ गुड्डू के पीछे जीभ लटकाए यूं पूंछ हिलाते नहीं देख सकते हम तुम्हें किसी एक को मानना होगा तुम्हें हम या जहांगीर
Since 1972, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack. Whether it's on your day off, long drives, or house limes, we are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar. This isn't just radio, it's tradition. It's memories. It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Always 100, guide you on your way. Sweet 100.
Your world moves fast, so do we. TTT News brings you the people, events, and issues that matter most. Stay informed, stay ahead. TTT News, every night at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
We're joining our colleagues at Talk City 91.1 FM as we continue our weekly Link Up, a space where television and talk radio come together to reflect the conversations that matter. We're checking in with the presenters now to get a sense of how the shift is going.
It's unfiltered, y'all.
Unmatched.
Unscripted.
You're dressed for talk. This is the Link Up. This is the Link Up with Talk City 91.1 FM.
Good morning, Talk City. How are you this morning?
Yes, indeed. Of course, it appears that Andy may have some hearing difficulties. So let me just make sure that...
I don't like how you phrase that. I don't like how you phrase that, Lennox. I'm not too sure that Andy will be very happy about how you phrase that.
Well, that is the intention.
So how's the shift going? What are you talking about this morning?
Magnificent as usual. We just came off the word of the day, and I got a new word, aglet. Aglet. I didn't know that was the tip of your lacing, the little band that would normally be tapered in order for you to lace up your shoe. So I got that word today, and of course my word would have been obscene, which I think morally depraved, if one to call that. And then, of course, there's a more local one, which is maribonta. And, yeah, maribonta. I know it from home, which, of course, is a wasp or one of those flying insects that would give you a good sting. And that is what we know. But of course, the person was talking in the context of a band, and when you hear maribonta coming down from Laventille, then you know what to expect. Andy?
Yes, Virmala, lovely Virmala, and all the viewers that are listening to the #1 TTT morning program with the Honorable Virmala. A pleasant good morning to you all. While my co-host comes to talk about maribonta and all of this, our topic this morning is constitutional reform. And why the topic is constitutional reform is again because of the people of Trinidad and Tobago have always raised their concerns based on politicians suffering the consequences of their actions. Meaning, for years upon years, Virmala and the wonderful people that are listening to Trinidad and Tobago today, the people of Trinidad and Tobago have been hearing corruption, wanting to know when a politician will get locked up for doing wrongdoings. And then we can draw, let me say, very, very close things that we are seeing, such as when it comes to the average person, the politicians will draft laws to make sure that we don't get away, don't have no loophole for we to get away, and we must suffer the consequences of our actions. And it was very worrying to me that although my co-host say it have a lot of legislations there in order for politicians, corruption and politicians to suffer the consequences, I'm telling him it's not working. Mm-hmm. And let us revamp or have constitutional reform or something to make sure that we can get that aspect dealt with, because we will continue to hear corruption and not see a politician be jailed for their actions.
Of course.
That has been a discussion that has been around for such a long time, gentlemen, constitutional reform. But before I wrap up, I have to share with you that this morning we were talking a little bit about mental health, gentlemen, and maybe next week when we join again, I want to get your take on something. But for now, I have to say goodbye because I have to continue with my side of the show. But I did enjoy linking with you. Do enjoy the rest of your show and continue that critical discussion. And Lennox, don't let Andy be mean to you, and Andy, don't be mean to Lennox. Okay.
Well, the intention was exactly that, and you saw how mean he was.
Yes. Well, gentlemen, thank you for being here this morning. That was the link up with Talk City 91.1 FM on Trinidad and Tobago today. Well, the time now about 14 minutes before 8 o'clock. We take one more break, and then when we come back, Carmino is with us this morning, but this time they've got a guest.
It's unfiltered, y'all.
Unmatched.
Unscripted.
You're dressed for talk. This is the link up. This is the link up with Talk City 91.1 FM.
क्या कर रही हो? माया देवी के बारे में सोच रही हूँ. मैं भी.
Listen, I have an idea.
What?
Imagine, अगर माया देवी को किसी लड़के से लव लेटर मिले और उस लेटर में लिखा हो, Dear Maya, I love you. मैं तुम्हें बहुत चाहता था, लेकिन तुम्हारे अंकल ने मुझे भगा दिया.
Or something like that?
किस लड़के का? कोई भी इमेजिनरी लड़का यार. उसे नाम भी दे देंगे और उसके तरफ से लेटर्स लिखेंगे.
I'm Virmala Balkaran, host of the Socially Safe podcast. the new TTPS podcast where we share real stories, teach real lessons, and create real impact. From online safety and youth crime to community policing and personal responsibility, we go beyond the headlines and talk about what's happening in our communities with the officers and experts who are on the front lines. Because safety starts with awareness, conversation, and action. Tune in to the Socially Safe podcast on the TTPS YouTube channel, listen on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Don't miss it.
Watch on TTT, Mondays 6 p.m., Tuesdays 1:10 p.m.
सबको मालूम है जहांगीर की रखेल है हमारी बाप की उम्र का होगा कम से कम
अरे बाप है वो इस घर में मैं बच्चों की तरह पला हूँ समझी
घर में तो कुत्ते भी पाले जाते हैं मियाँ गुड्डू के पीछे जीभ लटकाए यूं पूंछ हिलाते नहीं देख सकते हम तुम्हें किसी एक को मानना होगा तुम्हें हम या जहांगीर
Unleash your imagination with TTT's Terrific Toon Time. Join us as we stop evil geniuses from taking over the world on Super Z, or hop on board for a journey into outer space with Galaxy Kids. Be a part of our quest to save the forest alongside our robot pals from Bugspot Ignition. Or let's go exploring with Duda and Dada. It's fun-filled adventure with Terrific Toon Time right here on TTT.
On Wednesdays, we're joined by Carmeno Realty International team as we focus on a wide range of real estate topics to educate, support, and empower prospective homeowners throughout the property purchasing process. Well, good morning and welcome back to the Managing Director, Rachel Ramlal, and also this morning, a special guest joining us, Mr. Ryan Chin from GA Farrell. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Virmala.
So we've been discussing a lot about the sales process, Rachel, but this morning I want to go to another part of that process, which is the valuation reports. Right? So I know that you brought along Ryan here.
Yes.
Because he is the expert and he can tell us a lot about it. So before we get into the valuation reports, Ryan, tell us a little bit about GA Farrell and the services that you offer.
Okay, GA Farrell has been around for quite some time. This year actually marks our 50th anniversary. We are one of the largest firms of chartered valuation surveyors. We have 5 branches throughout Trinidad and Tobago. And yeah, we do valuation reports and offer some quantity surveying services as well.
Yeah. So now I'm going to ask, what exactly is a valuation report?
A valuation report is very simple. It's a professional opinion on the market value of a property by a qualified surveyor, valuation surveyor. It would contain all the information about the aspects about the property, the size of the land, the building, the condition, the finishes, any repairs that have to be done, information about the tenure of the land. And the market value is typically based on comparable sales that we would have in the neighborhood.
Now, are there different types of valuation reports?
Yes, there are different types of valuation reports. It would vary in detail and the purpose that the report is being used for. So we would do reports for mortgage lending, which would be the most common report. We would do rental assessment reports for court matters, statutory purposes and commercial properties. So, but at the end of the day, the goal is to provide an independent, objective opinion of value.
Now, retail valuation reports are absolutely required for property sales, right?
Yes, so it is recommended that you get a valuation report if you are listing your property. And as Ryan said, most times, well, all the time, when you're purchasing through the bank, they will ask you for a valuation reports. You know, on your end as a seller, you want to make sure you have a proper idea of what your property is really valued at. And I think in our earlier conversations, we were talking about how, you know, somebody would have a property, they lived in it for decades, so of course they have sentimental value, and they would feel like, okay, my property is worth so much. It's worth like $5 million. But then when you do the valuation report, it comes in, it could come in lower, it could come in higher, it's not really that, you know.
And that must be really disappointing for some people as well.
Yeah.
But it's also about being realistic
Correct.
when you're entering a sales process, right?
Correct, because then on the purchaser side, there are implications for that as well, you know. Sometimes people have to get additional funding out of pocket, you know, because the bank will only lend you based on what the valuation report says.
Now, Ryan, any tips on choosing a valuator?
The number one tip is make sure that your valuer is experienced in not only the length of time that they've been operating, but experience in the neighborhood that the property is being valued, and they have experience in the class of property, what the actual property is. So if the property is, just say, a hotel, you want to make sure that that valuer has a lot of experience valuing hotels. Other than that, you want to make sure that the valuer is going to give you an independent, objective assessment, and they have all the qualifications necessary, being a member of the ISTT or the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors.
All right. Well, Rachel, before we wrap up this morning, any advice to our viewers this morning again about your valuation reports?
So again, just to reiterate, you know, always use a professional, always use somebody registered, as Ryan said. And yes, it is important if you are listing your property or if you're going to purchase property, ask for valuation report or get one done, because at the end of the day, you want to be realistic in terms of your pricing, and on the purchaser side, you want to make sure that you're paying what it's actually worth, you know.
And Ryan, from you?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would just reiterate what she said. You would really want to have a valuer that has experience going forward, because not all valuers would have the same information about particular neighborhoods throughout the country. Yeah. So ask questions before you engage the valuer properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, you both, for being here. Also, we're thanking Camino this morning for being here with us every Wednesday and sharing their knowledge on real estate. It's really interesting to see a company like this so involved with each aspect of real estate. And we know that our viewers really learn a lot from these segments. So see you next week. And thank you so much to Camino Realty International. For all the stories that you see here and more, you can find it at TTT Live online. Email us at tttoday@ttt.co.tt as well if you want to be a part of the show. We'll see you tomorrow, where we do this all over again from 6 to 8 on Trinidad and Tobago Today. Bye-bye.
Since 1972, one sound has been living in the heart of Trinidad and Tobago, the longest running radio station in the nation.
We're your holiday soundtrack. Whether it's on your day off, long drives, or house limes, we are always sweet.
This is music with meaning, music with memories.
Music that feels like home.
And it's not just the songs, it's the voices you trust, personalities you've grown with.
Laughter that sounds familiar. This isn't just radio, it's tradition. It's memories. It's part of who we are.
Sweet 100.1 FM, the rhythm of our identity, part of your family.
Always 100, guide you on your way. Sweet 100.
Every morning begins with a story, the headlines you need, the voices you trust, the conversations shaping our nation. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago Today, where your day starts informed and inspired. News that matters to you, conversations that spark new ideas, stories that move Trinidad and Tobago forward. Tune in weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. or join the conversation on any smart device at TNT Today Show. Trinidad and Tobago Today. Start here, exclusively on TTT.
More news, more access, more ways to stay informed. TTT News covers the stories that matter on air and online. Join us nightly at 7. TTT News, committed, accurate, relevant.
Good morning, this is your TTT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. Making the news at this time. Between 4,200 and 5,400 cases of child abuse are reported annually. This according to psychologist Krista Alley of the Regional Case Management Unit at the Children's Authority. But the good news is that this trend reflects increased public awareness about the importance of reporting child neglect and abuse, signaling that more people are coming forward to protect vulnerable children.
And I think that child abuse continues to be a national crisis. And, you know, we're not doing what it takes to keep our children safe. And that's the first thing that when we look at these statistics, that's the first thing you get right off the bat, that these numbers are alarming. But, you know, I want to also highlight that these numbers reflect a movement towards reporting, and that's really important. Where we're receiving the reports of the abuse, and then the authority, we are mandated to not only receive those reports, but also to investigate and to provide the intervention.
Ms. Ali added that despite this growing awareness, there remains a portion of society that does not report cases of child neglect. She noted that this trend needs to be reversed as many individuals hesitate to report abuse out of fear of retaliation or getting involved in family or community conflicts.
Our society, there's a bit of fear that is surrounding reporting. And again, we live in a society where crime is rampant, right? So we do have valid reasons to be fearful of making certain reports. So I just want to remind the public that, again, we have to change our perception about child abuse and about child protection, where our children deserve better.
Ms. Ali indicated that members of the public can report child abuse to the Children's Authority anonymously. In other news, as part of events marking the 75th anniversary of Chinmaya Mission Global, Minister of Land and Legal Affairs Saddam Hussein officially handed over a state lease to Chinmaya Mission Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday. The presentation also comes ahead of the 181st anniversary of the arrival of East Indian indentured laborers. Speaking at the official lease handover ceremony on Tuesday, Minister of Land and Legal Affairs Saddam Hussein said the cabinet decision goes beyond paperwork and represents a commitment to the future of national development through education.
Today, I asked Swamiji, what next? He said that they are going to expand this particular piece of land because what we are on is just a piece of it. The government, through the cabinet, has agreed to give the Chinmaya Mission 12 acres of land right here. 12 acres. And it will be at an institutional lease of $1 per annum.
He commended the institution for their holistic approach to education and its continuous outstanding academic achievements, while commemorating the 75th anniversary of Chinmaya Mission Global.
In 2003, I don't know if anyone would have believed, Swamiji, that you would have been sitting here in this prestigious modern institution. You had 3 students here in 2003, I'm told. 3 students. Today, over 400 students graduate from the Chinmaya Mission with 100% pass rate. 100% pass rate. That is absolutely commendable.
In sport, Trinidad and Tobago Red Force extended their lead on Day 3 of the West Indies Championship Final, building on a 17-run first innings advantage against the Guyana Harpy Eagles at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. In their second innings, the Red Force were anchored by a stellar knock from left-handed opener Evan Lewis, who remains unbeaten on 122 of 246 deliveries, a patient innings spanning over 400 minutes at the crease. Lewis hit 16 fours and 2 sixes. He had solid support from Amir Django, who contributed 48, and Jason Mohammed with 37. The Red Force posted 265 for 8 with Veerasamy Permaul, the pick of the Harpy Eagles bowlers, taking 3 wickets for 18. Kimo Paul also claimed 3 wickets, while Shamar Joseph took 2. Today's 4th and final day will be an all-out scramble for both teams pushing for a win. And that was your TDT News Update. I'm Carrie Roberts. From all of us here to you, have a great day.
All right, settle on. Let's see who made the roster this year. Excuse me, sir.
I feel like I got pushed from here by the dog. I tell you.
Mr. Hoyt,
Yes, Principal.
are these the new students?
Yes. The best of the best. That's a wrap.
Stacey, what if the term now starts and these children missing school already?
Hey, what are you doing there?
Introducing the new class of Next 99.1 FM.
क्या कर रही हो? माया देवी के बारे में सोच रही हूँ. मैं भी. Listen, I have an idea. What? Imagine, अगर माया देवी को किसी लड़के से लव लेटर मिले और उस लेटर में लिखा हो, Dear Maya, I love you. मैं तुम्हें बहुत चाहता था, लेकिन तुम्हारे अंकल ने मुझे भगा दिया. Or something like that? किस लड़के का? कोई भी इमेजिनरी लड़का यार. उसे नाम भी दे देंगे और उसके तरफ से लेटर्स लिखेंगे.
सबको मालूम है जहांगीर के रखे हैं हमारी बाप की उम्र का होगा कम से कम।
अरे बाप है वो। इस घर में मैं बच्चों की तरह पला हूँ, समझी?
घर में तो कुत्ते भी पाले जाते हैं मियाँ। गुड्डू के पीछे जीभ लटकाए यूं पूंछ हिलाते नहीं देख सकते हम तुम्हें। किसी एक को मानना होगा तुम्हें। हम या जहांगीर?
This is TTT. Live for local.
For a small country barely the size of Switzerland, Costa Rica has made tremendous efforts to protect the environment, setting aside 1/4 of its land area as natural parks